facing the funk. Yeah, I said it. Instead of faking the funk, no, you got to face the funk. There's no way to get around it. There's no way to ignore it. It is in your face. You are in that situation. You must deal in that moment no matter what. It is facing the funk. What do you do when you're now in a situation that you know you must confront? Or now you're being confronted, and maybe it's a confrontation, okay? Or it's gotten confrontational. What do you do? How do you deal in that moment? Okay, and this is where we got to go there, because I guarantee you, with everything going on in your life, with what you're trying to aspire and achieve, challenges maybe even all up in your home, how do you deal with that? There are going to be times in your life where you must stand for and confront things when it has to do with your dreams. It has to do with your worth. Oh man, when it has to do with your beliefs, when it has to do with what's right, when it has to do with what you want and what you're working hard for, and man, even more importantly, who you are. You're going to find yourself in situations where you're going to have to stand for what is right. When it comes to your worth, your value, your dreams, what you're working for, what you believe even. You can't just sit there. You can't just do nothing. You're in a moment right there in that moment where at all costs, it matters that you speak up. Now, let me go ahead and preface this because I'm going to go hard here. I do not, and I'm going to speak to it, believe in just being a person who's always confrontational. If you just wake up like that, let them say something to me. Let them approach me. I got something to say. Where all people get from you is you being confrontational. People offer you coffee, okay? And you're confrontational because they didn't ask you if you wanted coffee 5 minutes ago or saw you empty with the cup, so you want to speak to it. No, I'm not talking about that, because we have to address that, and I'm going to address it. There's a difference between being confrontational and confronting something. To confront something is to meet and face something, okay, head on. Okay, to address something that needs to be addressed that you do maybe not agree with, that maybe it now needs to be spoken to, but it is literally just addressing something. Instead of letting something happen, you're going to confront it. Instead of watching something happen, you're going to address it. Instead of being quiet, you choose to confront it and speak to it. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, you could just be confronting things, and let me go ahead and tell you, people ain't gonna like you. People's gonna think that you got a bad attitude, that you're just disagreeing with them, and they're not gonna like it because they just wanna be able to do what they want, say what they want, be any kind of way, and no one say anything. But the moment that somebody addresses it, the moment somebody questions it, and you could just be questioning for clarity, the moment that somebody confronts it, I am going to tell you, you are probably gonna end up already with somebody having an attitude with you, somebody giving you a look. Matter of fact, it may even be difficult for you at that moment to address that situation, just to confront it without all of a sudden it's turning into a confrontation. See, there's a big difference. There is confronting the issue, speaking to it, and then now you're in a confrontation. And a lot of us get in confrontations and that's not even what our intentions were. All we were doing was asking a question, asking for clarity, or just making a statement, maybe how we feel about it, expressing our thoughts and our belief. Heck, sometimes you don't even have to do that. Just because of who you are confronts people in a way that now they feel they have to confront you. You can be walking, you can be doing your own thing, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation with someone confronting you about something, and then it turns confrontational. You will find yourself there more now because now people are so timid. People don't want to listen. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't care what you have to say. And even in that moment when they've addressed you, maybe they've confronted you, maybe they've done something that you're not okay with, or you know you must speak to it because it ain't going down like that. I am going to prepare you right off the bat that most people today, and no offense if you're my younger crowd, I got a lot of younger people that follow me, especially our younger generation. You just say one thing and you don't agree. You ask a question, you're in a confrontation. Now, to be confrontational is where no matter what, you're always on guard. You always got to clap back. You always got something to say. You always got to put somebody in their place. You always got something to say, even if nobody's talking to you. They're over here minding their own business, and you want to ask questions to find out what they're talking about. And all of a sudden, you arrive on a scene, not even your business, being that person to be confrontational all the time. Hey, Miguel. And so confrontational is when you tend to deal with a situation in an aggressive, hostile, or argumentative way. How many of you guys know people like that? I got people in my life that are like that. I got people that, man, you got to always walk on eggshells. You got to always just ignore them. You can't say anything to them. They just want you to agree. They just want you to allow them to do whatever they want, when they want, and I'm sorry, you don't speak to it. But they're the ones always trying to speak to what you're doing. They're the ones always trying to correct what you're doing. They're always trying to be the ones to say what you're doing is wrong and what they think about it, and always trying to clap at you, check you, and put you in your place. It's when it comes to things like your dreams, your worth, your belief, what is right, who you are, and what you want out of life and what you're working for and what you stand for. I'm going to say it. My opinion is those are things that I believe, and you got to really address that situation and really kind of look at it. I believe that you got to speak to it. I do. I believe that we become this complacent, don't want to say anything, and I'm going to use this word lightly, very lukewarm, just allowing things to happen. This whole, we're just going to go along to get along. Well, the problem is, and hey, good morning, Shirley, is when we choose to just go along to get along, what are we saying in that moment? Even though we may be silent, we may be quiet, if we're going along just to get along and where we're going ain't right, it ain't even about who you are. It has nothing to do with what you stand for. Your belief, your dreams maybe could be compromised. Your self-value is not even in the picture, that we got a problem. Because when you go along, you are saying to yourself that you're okay with that you're about that is who you are. You know that old thing that we used to be told by our parents, birds of a feather flock together. Well, that's exactly what this is. And you got to be willing to stand for those things that are important to you. You got to be willing to stand for it, even if it means you lose everything. Even if it means what you're working for, that's that one moment where it all goes bye-bye. That you think, man, I'm going to speak up, I'm going to say something, and man, I'm going to lose everything. So I better not just say anything. I better just go along. Let me tell you what, you compromise more about yourself, your future, and your dreams in that moment than ever before. You know, it may be that maybe you're the person that was put there in that situation because you're supposed to speak to it. Confronting things, always. To me, that's speaking to something. You could be in a boardroom meeting and there's something that you don't like. You could be an employee and you're a leader. You better speak to it because you add unto a situation. You may be the one by you confronting and all of a sudden something great happens. That now you guys have figured out what to do. It now elevated things, took people to a whole other level versus, well, I'm not going to say anything. Then if that project fails, and sometimes that's what we want to do, I'm not going to say anything. So if they fail, they know. Well, that's more about you being spiteful. That's more about you serving yourself. But in that moment, when you're an employee and y'all are talking about something to do, and just being that person to not speak up, I believe every single one of us have something to add. And I believe that none of us have graduated from life. We're all still students. We all can learn. And I think in that moment, maybe you are the teacher, but I think also sometimes we got to be the student as well. Maybe you were the one that was supposed to teach the moment by the example of it, by speaking up, by confronting the issue. But how we do it, being confrontational, people don't listen. Sometimes, I get it, it goes to that level where they take you to that level. I ain't talking about those moments either. But I am gonna say in those moments when it gets to that level, then maybe the thing you need to do is to dust your feet and walk away.